So I'm here at EC, and I'm going to be playing a practice round with just my putters. I'm going to go through some of the thoughts that go through my head on each hole, and I usually throw 2 shots when I practice on every hole, and I putt from both discs. But since this is still practice, I keep the score of the first shot and the first putt. That way I know how I did in practice, so I can compare it later to how I do the next time I play here in general or competitively. And for video's sake, you probably won't see both of my throws on every hole. You will on a select few, just to try and keep the video a little shorter. So we're going to jump right into this first throw. I'm going to throw a spike howser tactic round about the top of those trees and let it just crash in. Okay, so that was really bad. The only way I can explain that is first throw of the day. It looked like it and felt like it. I'll also take 2 different lines on a bunch of these. That's my normal play. I just grip locked it horribly and threw it way over there. This one's going to be more of a dead straight at it play. Try to ace it on the second one. Horrible throw. So I'm 50-50 on running this cart. I'll probably run it just because there's literally no danger here. At least not until hole 5. So maybe we make it, maybe we don't. Either way, I'm getting putting practice and I'm horrible at putting. Looks like we're going to be taking a par for our first hole. Now the reason that I throw 2 shots on every hole, especially here, is the reason I take 2 shots on every hole, especially here, is because there's not really any danger on this course at all. And this way I get to practice the power lines and the more technical lines. Because it's a wide open course, you kind of have to force yourself to put up your own barriers. So my first shot is the obvious shot, just a hyzer in, but that was a bad example earlier. And my second shot, I picture there being a line of trees between the tee box and the basket, and I just want to get my disc to ride straight down that line and nestle up as close to the basket as possible. Sometimes even try and ace it if I feel like I can get the height and still keep it straight down that line. But I'm mostly just trying to really focus up on line hitting, especially on a wide open course. And the reason I putt multiple times on every hole is 1, I get my putting practice in. 2, I get to practice putting from 2 different locations, especially if I mess up like I did earlier. And I use both of my putters because I want them to beat in consistently, because the way I putt, I have that one in my hand and one that I actually putt with. And since they're both the exact same stamp and the exact same color, it's kind of difficult for me to tell them apart. So I want them to be beat into the exact same way. That way it doesn't matter which one I end up putting with and which one I end up holding. They're both the same stability. So I don't have to worry about it doing anything that I didn't have it do the last go round. So I'm going to tap in from that hard link right there, and we'll move on to hole 2. Okay, so on this hole, as you can tell, I don't really have to pretend that there's trees forcing me to throw straight. But my first play on this hole, the play that I normally do, is just a turnover and try and get it as close as possible, because I don't have a forehand, at least not one that I trust, because sometimes it's too far on this hole and sometimes it's short and it's very seldomly parked. So I'm going to go with the play that I can more consistently do and see if we can't get this dart right under, maybe even in the basket. That got very close to acing it. I think I faded out either just behind it or just in front of it. But now we're going to go with the straight shot. And yeah, there's nothing to lose on this one. So if I ace it, y'all know what the next giveaway disc will be. That needs to get down. So I completely missed the line here. And usually when I miss the line, I throw again until I hit it, just to try and, correct myself. So I'll do a bonus third shot just to try and make sure I hit the line this time. I'm going to line up differently so that it makes it easier. Caught a limb, but actually hit the line that time. I'll take it. We should have a birdie putt and be 1 under on the day. So the dart was not as good as I initially thought. I mean, it's still a good throw, but it's nowhere near as close as I thought it was. I'm probably about 10 feet off the basket. I literally thought I was just inches away from acing it. But still probably one of the better shots I've ever had on this hole. The link is out of frame right now. I'm only going to putt from the first 2. I'm not going to putt from the third one, because the third one is one of my putters. And maybe we can make all 4 putts. That was not horrible. I am now sitting at 1 under. I did pretty decent from the first location, making both of the putts. And then from the second location, I made 2 out of 3. Still not bad, but I definitely don't want to be out there because it's just awkward footing. And we're going to jump into hole 3. And it feels like I'm going to have a nice little headwind going into it, so that's going to be great. Okay, so this is the last hole on the course that is sub 300 feet. I'm going to be taking my tactic again and throwing another hyzer, but it won't be a spike hyzer, and that'll be my first shot. My second shot is going to be a technical turnover line, probably over that tree that's like out on the edge of the water right there. Probably going to go over it with my other tactic and try and just nestle it up under the basket. This shot has a potential ace. That wasn't horrible, but I clearly didn't put it high enough or on enough angle to swing it into the basket. I did scare the bird though, and that was funny. So now I'm going to take the other tactic. We're going to go over the top of that tree and try and nestle this one right in under the basket. I don't know if I can do this shot. I've never tried it. So the answer is no, I cannot do that shot, but there's really no other shot here for me to try other than something like right down that middle that turns at the end. So yet again, I will give y'all one extra throw just to see if I can hit that gap, because I've never even tried that here. I usually throw 2 spike hyzers. I got the turn I wanted out of that, but I didn't get the line. But I don't have another disc that could do that shot without grabbing a mid. So we'll just leave this hole here and we'll go to the putting. Okay, so the first disc that I came up on was the gray tactic that I tried the turnover line with. This is going to be a lengthy putt, but I'd still like to practice it from range. There was no commitment on that last one. I didn't turn it at all. I think the smart play from back here, instead of trying to jump putt it, would be just to take a disc and give it a little upshot. And just take that. But I want to practice putting from every situation I put myself in, even if it requires a jump putt. Alright, yet again, I'm going to be putting my phone in danger and setting it behind the basket, but I'm going to have to level it out just a little bit because it keeps wanting to fall off. So maybe we'll make this putt. I'm usually not that far away from the basket on this hole. That's going to be a tap in on hole 3, keeping me at 1 under. Not doing that great. The foot golf marker was definitely in my way on that, but no excuse, I just did a horrible putt. I should have gave it more height and put it more at the basket. Okay, so hole 4 is 386 feet, and the basket, I don't know if you'll even be able to see it because I'm zoomed all the way in, but it's like right there, tucked under some trees. This is going to be a very difficult hole playing with just putters, but I got 2 options. I can either try and really pump one there, or I can just play for par, because this is a par 3. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play for par, and I'm going to take my most overstable tactic and just try and flex it down the gut. That tree is the best placed tree on this whole course. I try that line a lot. That's actually my favorite line to hit, is just let something turn through there and then drift back. Hit that tree like at least 50% of the time. So for my second shot, I'm gonna go with my other tactic, which is less stable. And I'm gonna just try and completely pipe it instead of turning it. And that's how that first shot should have went. Okay, so this is where you run into issues with throwing 2 off of every tee. The disc that I would throw is out there. So I'm gonna just improvise. And I'm gonna throw probably a very high link. That way it stalls out and it has time to hyzer out. Now here, I could see people being tempted, especially if you're left-handed, to just throw like a low laser and try and skip it in. Or if you're playing with your whole bag, maybe throw a forehand out wide and try and park it. But seeing as how I'm just playing with putters, I gotta play smart if I want to keep my score par or below. This course is very easy with a whole bag, but when you're just using putters, this course can get you. Not quite sure how close that is, but I should be somewhere around 15 to 20 feet. I think I hit a branch on the back half and just sat down a little bit behind the basket. Okay, so from right here, I can tell you what the smart play is. It's just to take something like this and just do that. And just take your par from there. But seeing as how this is my second shot and it doesn't matter what I do, I'm gonna get myself a little bit of hyzer putting practice and try and stick it kind of high and hopefully get it to fall down. We'll see how this works. All right, so that was a good line, but I did the exact same thing as I just did with my tactic on a sawed-off throw. So I might have to jump putt to get the height and the crash that I want. Not good, not good at all. Okay, so this right here, that right there, that's where my upshot link landed. So I'm just gonna gather up these upshots and putts. And do that. Twice. That's where my upshot link landed. We got a little easy putt straight into the basket for our par. And that will keep us at 1 under going into the hardest hole in the course. So, this hole, the basket is on the peninsula. It's about 115 yards away, which would be 345 feet. All I need to do is play it safe on this hole. As much as I would love to just go aggressive and get the tactic to it, I don't want to lose the disc today. So I'm just gonna play hyzer at the basket and let it swing further inbounds instead of pushing it out wide. Because if the wind shoves it down, my tactic's gone, and I would like for that not to happen. So I'm gonna pretty much play it at the basket and let it swing in. It's the safest way to play this. the grass is really wet, so I'm having to dry off my disc after every throw. Little distance like tip for everyone. So yes, form matters a lot on how you throw, because you want to make sure you get on the toe of your plant foot and then shift all of your weight forward to drive down that heel and then spin and open up. I can go into this in way more detail in another video, but I'm gonna tell y'all how I learned. My dad learned all of the proper techniques, and he would hold the disc behind me and tell me to pull him. Well, regardless of how muscular you are, you can't just pull someone like all arm, especially if they're bracing against you. You can't just tug as hard as you can and just pull them off balance. I mean, you can. I did that to him a couple of times, but that kind of defeats the purpose on this drill. You don't want to pull him per se. You want to rip the disc out of his hand through you. So the best way to do that would be to use your hips as leverage to pull forwards. So I learned by doing that and by throwing putters a lot. Every time I come out here, if I'm by myself, or even if I'm with my father or someone else that I play with, every now and then I'll do a putter only round, which helps me to not only take a break from just being stupid and throwing really high spike hazards on every hole here with like fairway drivers or something just because I can. It makes me actually focus on what I want to do, what I need to do, and it makes you more consistent. And when you start hitting distances like 345, even if you're freshly starting out, 250 and up with putters, when you switch to like a mid or a fairway or a distance driver, if you still have that consistent amount of snap that you're getting with your putter, and don't hold off on the putter just because it's a putter, but if you're getting the consistent amount every time you throw, you'll see a difference going into your mids, fairways, and distance drivers. So that's why I play with putters any chance I get. And here it's really easy because this course isn't exactly very long. There's like the hole we just played. This hole I can reach, but I'm not going to try to. And the hole after this one. So 4 and 6 are the only ones that I hands down would say no, I probably can't get a tactic there. I have thrown this thing 400 feet before, but that's on a power line. When you're actually playing, it's totally different. So I don't know how many of you are going to actually watch this video. I know I'm more of a review person, but I want to start doing a bunch of different things on this channel. So consider this a practice and beginner tip series. Oh, shite. So I did exactly what I said I didn't want to do, and I put my tactic way out there. Luckily it did fight back in bounds, but that was very scary. I'm not going to throw a second shot on this hole just because I don't want to lose a disc. Okay, so I got the tactic. It was right on the water's edge, but that stuff is very mushy, so I brought it straight out. We're not really going to run this putt with the water being behind it, but we are going to give it like a floaty bid. Well, we made the first, but we missed the second. So it wasn't exactly ideal putting practice, but it does keep us even for this practice round. So I don't know if I can help y'all to see the basket on this hole, but it's like right there. Right by that light pole. It's hard to reach. Normally, I think I've only gotten it there like a handful of times. So with putters, I can either try and bite off as much as I can, maybe even throw a 360 to see how far I can get it, or I can just try and pitch up to the flat and then just have a simple putter up shot from there. Okay, so that was a normal throw. I think I might have gotten like halfway up the hill with that. I'm probably about 130 from the basket. So I'm gonna throw my other tactic. And we're going 360 this one because I'm just kind of curious if I can get to the basket on this hole with a putter. By the way, this hole says it's 379, but it's dead straight uphill, so it plays more like 430-ish. Okay, so I think that gray tactic, I threw it high so I couldn't really see it, but I did see it fall down, and it looks like it's about at that light pole that the basket used to be at, instead of at the new one that it's at. Okay, so I'm at my white tactic now, and I don't exactly see the basket on my phone. I'm gonna assume you can. So that's what I've gotten for my birdie putt. My gray tactic is like at the base of that light pole. So I'm gonna go to it first, and I'll just leave y'all point at the basket. And we'll putt from there. And then we'll see if we can eagle this hole because it's considered a par 4. Okay, so those would have been 2 dunks for birdie. Not quite sure if I can make this putt, especially in this pure headwind, but we'll give it our best attempt. Remember when I said the grass was wet? That link completely slipped out. Alright, this is our birdie putt. Two under. Okay, so my plan on this hole is to take the gray tactic and just blast it right at the basket. This hole is 383 all downhill, so it's 100% reachable. Maybe I ace it, that would be cool. Okay, so that's not exactly an ideal position. Because of the skip, I think I would have been fine without it. But I'm gonna throw my second shot with a link. And since the link goes further than the tactic, I'm just going to kind of pipe it on hyzer and it should stand up. Well, it definitely stood up, but less hyzer would have been great. Okay, so bonus information. The Enigma, I have 3 of them, will be my next disc review. Okay, so both my drives landed like right beside each other, so I'm just going to take one putt from both. That was the one that counted. And that was the one that didn't. And it went in. I did feel a bit stiff on that second putt. I should have reset, but I didn't. Just as I thought, that white tactic's way too stable for that. Doinked them both. Set my phone right back in danger. Alright, so the basket's 360 feet dead straight. Got a legitimate chance of actually birdieing this one, putting us at 3 down to end our day. So far, it's been a fairly productive practice round. I think I can shoot much better on this course than I have so far, especially with just putters. But we can launch some here, kind of. That went long. Maybe the second shot will go in. Hold it. That one also went long. So, third shot with a link and hope it doesn't go as far? Yeah? Yeah. That's got a chance of going in. Whoo-hoo. That one's parked. So there's the white tactic, it did go long. There's the gray one, also long. And there's the link under the basket. So we're gonna practice from the white and the gray. The gray counts, the white's first. This is gonna be tricky. Two for two on the hardest putt that we've had all day. Didn't make any of the easy ones, so that's upsetting.